In this video, we'll walk through how to create the list pages of the site. These are these fun pages here where we have a list of products, a list of articles, and on the home page, a little of both. So let's take a look at this one first. It's the simplest because it's just a simple list of products. Hopefully you can see where I'm coming from in calling this a list, in that we have a series of things that are all containing a similar set of information. The image of the product name, and the price of the product. We'd probably also surround these each with a hyperlink as well. So let's go set up the bones of this structure in our code sandbox, and then we can paste in the content a little bit later. So this is the products page itself here, and we actually don't have this H2 at the top of the page in our design, but we do have our UL. Then we have a list items, and we'll do one first and then we'll duplicate this down for the others. Okay, so we have a list item, and then we have a hyperlink that's going to wrap around the whole thing, and this is going to point to each one of our products. So I'm going to go ahead and put in product1.html, and we can update that later for each of the others. Okay, now inside of this we're going to have the image, the product name, and the product price. So the image is pretty straightforward, and we'll actually put the image path in shortly. It's always good to also have an empty alt attribute if what follows actually describes the image. Otherwise, we would want to put the actual content of the image in as the alt attribute. Okay, so down here though, we're going to have the product name and the price. I think it makes sense to do both of those as paragraphs. There are certainly some other options, but paragraph is a good one. Now, because we have these two paragraphs, let's distinguish them one from the other by adding a class attribute. So we'll put the class attribute of name on this one, and the class name of price on this one. Okay, so now we will just duplicate this structure and actually paste in the content that we need. So first we'll duplicate the structure. So there's product 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so now what we need to do is just go to our content collection and paste in the actual content. Okay, with the names and titles and things in place, I'm going to navigate to that page over here in the browser. Oops, I went to the wrong one. There we go. All right, and now I'm actually going to put the image paths in. So we need to see which one is which. So we're going for the product thumbs. So each of these paths is going to start with the same thing. So I'm going to use my multi-selector to get to each one of them. And then we'll go out one layer so that we can go then to the images. And this nice pop-up tool has come up to help me find these paths correctly. So I can use the up and down arrows and the enter key to get to where I want to go there. Okay, so let's see. Then we have product thumb. Okay, so now you can see we have each of those options there. So I'm going to now get out of my multi-editing mode by pressing escape. And if I just take that hyphen away and then put it back in, you can see that I have my options sitting right here. So the first one is the Luma Cube. Repeat that process here, and we have headphones. And then here we have the standing table, standing desk that is, and the laptop stand. And last of all, the monitor. Okay, we save and refresh and go back to our products page, and we should see those images come in. Okay, we could certainly rearrange the images if we'd like to see them in a different order. And I think I would like to see the laptop stand and then the monitor at the very top, followed by the headphones. And I think I want that standing table to be the very last thing. Okay, yep. I think then I want the headphones above the LumaCube. Okay. There we go. All right, that looks pretty nice. All right, so now let's switch over. I think we're in good shape on the products page. So let's switch over and now, by the way, I had all these numbered and it really doesn't matter that these point to any particular page. What matters it will be in the next deliverable when we actually need these to point to the actual products that we want these to be. So we'll worry about that in the next deliverable. In fact, if we want, we could just update these to at least be in order so that as we click down through them, they will appear to click on them in the order that they are listed. Okay, so now let's take a look at the main products or articles page. So the structure here, based on our mockup, is going to be very similar, where we have a list of articles. And each of these is going to contain the image, the heading, the author date, an introductory paragraph, probably just the first paragraph, but we may, in some cases, truncate that first paragraph, and then a read more link. Now, where in this case we had a hyperlink wrapped around the entire thing, it's going to be a little bit different here, where we'll have a hyperlink around the image, and then a separate hyperlink inside this heading, and then this read more link will be on its own. So once again, let's go set up the bones for that much in our article list page. Again, we actually don't have the articles heading here. We just have the list itself. Then we have items. So let's get one item scaffolded correctly. So we said that we were going to have a hyperlink pointing to the article. And then inside of that, we were going to have an image. We'll put that image in shortly. Empty alt attribute is okay in this case. All right, so now we're going to duplicate that, but wrap this one with an H2 so that the hyperlink is actually inside the H2 here. That's the better practice when we have a hyperlink that is sort of inside of an element. We needed to put the hyperlink around the image over here in this case. But now we don't want the image inside of here. We're going to have the article title, so we'll just put the title there. Okay, next we need the actual author and date line. So we're going to have a paragraph here where we'll put the date and the author. Now, the mockup right now just has those separated by a pipe. You may decide to do something different with that in the future. And then we'll actually put our intro here. And last of all, our read more. So we will now point to article 1. We'll say read more. And we'll assume an ellipses is what we want there for now. Okay, so last of all, let's make sure we can distinguish between our article intro and the date and author lines here. So let's put a class on this. We'll call it date author. And down here, let's call this one class intro. Okay. So now we need to just duplicate this and then put all the content in. So first we'll duplicate and update our path so that we're pointing to each correct article. So we need to update it in 3 places. So that was the article 2, and now for article 3, article 4, and article 5. Okay, now we just need to paste in enough of our content. All right, if we navigate to our articles page, we can see this coming together. Last of all, we just need to get those images in place. So you may recall when we created these before, we called them thumbs. And I realize now we maybe could have called them cover thumbs to be a little bit more consistent. But so let's go put those in. So the path would be images. And then we need to point to, or we need to go out one layer first, then to images. And now we just need to point to the correct one. So we're going to go to thumb. And this one is the Dockyard Remote Work Kit. All right, and let's see how that turned out. Very nice. All right, all of our images are in place. I do think I'm going to switch the order a little bit, but we'll wait and do that down the road once we can figure out what we want to place in the design. Because I want to think about which one is going to be my featured one. It might be this one, or this one, maybe this one, but we'll just wait and see where we go with our design. So that covers the article page. Now we need to deal with the home page. Thankfully, the home page is going to reuse a lot of what we already have here. So here we have basically the article list with a very similar structure on the left and the product list with a basically identical structure on the right. So, and then we just have these headings at the top and the view all links that go at the bottom. So let's start by getting those headings and hyperlinks in. So over in our code sandbox here, we'll go out to our main homepage. This looks like it, where we'll have the recent articles. Is that the way we used it? I think recent news, recent articles. I think you could go either way. It's a little subjective. And featured products. Featured products. Okay, then we'll put our lists in here. And between there, or at the end, I should say, we will point to the articles index page. We'll say, what? View all products? View all products. Nope, articles. We also have, in this case, we have the right angle quote, which you may or may not include in yours, but if you do include it, it's RAQUO, like that. Special character code. Okay, and we can close the hyperlink. All right, we'll just duplicate that same thing down here for the products, view all products, and point to the products folder. Okay, so we have those filled in, and you can see that they're coming together there. Now we need to just bring over some of our lists. So let's start with the product side, since that's the super duper easiest one. So in this case, let's grab the whole list. But note that we're going to weed it down to just the first three. So grabbed it, going to paste it now, and we'll just delete those last two. And we've basically got the product side finished. All right, now for the article side, we're going to start by pasting in the actual article list. So let's grab that whole thing again. Copy and paste. We will pull out the last two. And we'll need to make a little bit of a modification to the first one. So this is where it would be helpful to know which one we're going to go with as our first one. So since I brought this one over, I'm going to go ahead and switch it up into the first position. Let's see, what's the next one? Yeah, let's switch that one up into the first position. Going to do that here. Obviously this will be different for you because you have a different site than I do. So I'm going to just update those paths to point to article 1, and then this one needs to be article 2. Again, you don't need to do this piece because your project is going to be a little different from mine, but now I just need to do that same thing on this page so that I'm matching. This one needs to go down and become article 2. And now this one is article 1 at the front. All right, so just going to double check that I've got it matching. So it should be computer, then remote work, then ready to pivot. So switching over here, computer, remote, ready to pivot. And it points to article 1. Good. Okay. All right, we fixed that. So back to the home page. So a couple things need to change here. First of all, now that we have placed this in here, these H2s now need to become H3s so that they're subheadings of the recent articles heading there. So we're going to go down to each of these, make them H3s. Okay, now for the first one, we're also hiding this intro paragraph. So we're actually just going to pull out that, and we're also going to pull out the date and subline, so that all we have is the article title and the read more link. And we will look at what we're going to do with the rest of that as we get into styling it later. But for now, it is doing its job as the first item. Okay, so that's all we can do on this. Now, there is a couple other things that we need to fix, actually. The paths should not be working because technically we are pointing out a layer and then into images. Now, I think Code Sandbox is being forgiving about this, but let's actually make sure that we've got this right. So we're going to go to all of our images, and we're going to pull out the magic escalator that's in front of each of those. So this is articles and products. Okay, so we should be pointing straight down into products, straight down into the images folder from here, and it looks right. Now we also need to update the paths to our articles. They all need to have the articles folder in front of them. So we're going to each of these places where we have an article path. And we're going to add the articles folder at the beginning. I made a little oops on this last one. So I'm just scanning up and down articles, 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 and they all should be there. So you can just double check yours. The first one should look like this, where we have articles, oops, that path is wrong. Oh, how many of those are that way? Hopefully just that one. Article, oh no, they're all wrong. So you probably caught that earlier, didn't you? So they're not all wrong, but just the first two, it looks like. Okay, better go fix that on the other page. So the main article page here has that wrong as well. Article, article, okay, article, article. Ooh, we do have a find and replace. That's good. So if you select text that you want to find, and then you can paste in or put in what you want to replace it with, article, like that. You can replace them one at a time. It will highlight them one at a time like this, or you can just do replace all and it fixes them all. Okay, that's nice. Okay, so we should have fixed that. All right, we need to also fix the product paths. Same deal, but much less work since there's just one hyperlink around each of them. So we should be pointing to the products folder and to product 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now I think that this step is actually going to be easier if we pop this out into a new window and start checking around at each of the pages. So this should point to article 1, and it does. This should point to article 2, and it does. We should also be checking the actual link on the image and the read more link to be thorough. Okay, now caution that the read more link is going to butt right up against the next article, but make sure you distinguish that this one is for article 2 and this here is the next article for article 3. So there we are, article 3 and article 3. Good deal. And the view all articles points to the main articles page. Good deal. So let's just check the articles themselves. Looks like those first 3 are all working because they all appear visited. Let's try the article 4 here and that heading and the read more. Good. And now for article 5. They all appear to be pointing to the correct place. So you want to do this kind of checking all throughout your site. You're going to want to make sure to do the same thing on the products page, checking each of the products. It's going to be a little bit simpler, thankfully. And same thing back on the home page on the product side as well. Okay, so make sure you check them all to ensure that your paths are correct. I'm just finishing my work up so that I know that mine is working. You saw me making mistakes. And so hopefully that makes you feel better, because you know that even the experts make mistakes too. Okay, it looks like we are all ready to go with our list pages finished.